This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rattle reporting. Good evening. An election year veto test of wills tonight over U.S. trade policy. The Senate this evening gave final congressional approval to a big new trade bill. President Reagan says he will veto the whole bill, primarily over one provision, the one making U.S. companies warn workers when there are to be plant closings and mass layoffs. Phil Jones begins our coverage of the politics and economics of a bill affecting American jobs and retaliation tactics against unfair foreign competition.
Mr. Biden.
Tonight, the battle lines are drawn as the Senate has joined the House in passing a trade bill that took 3 years of hard negotiation. The president sent a letter today, even before the vote, warning that he will veto the bill.
Mr. President, put down your veto pen. We are at the 11th hour when it comes to dealing with our nation's trade problems.
The administration has promised a veto because of a provision that would require 60 days' notice of plant closings and layoffs by companies employing more than 100 workers.
The plant closure issue won't sell a single bushel of wheat, a single computer, a single American car.
On this issue, both sides are accusing each other of selling out to special interest. The GOP charging Democrats with caving in to organized labor, which has lobbied hard for plant notification. Democrats attack Republicans for cozying up to business.
The administration wants the plant closing provision removed to curry favor with their business friends, and they don't mind killing the entire trade bill to accomplish this purpose.
Administration officials were indicating today that the veto is based on more than one issue.
We're very concerned about triggering any kind of protectionist response on part of other countries.
But supporters deny the protectionism charges.
What we're asking for is that any country that has full access to our markets, we're entitled to full access to their markets.
Another problem has arisen over a provision that would limit exports of Alaskan oil and require that it be transported first to the U.S. mainland before being exported. That has raised questions of discrimination and constitutionality. The president may win the veto battle, but the trade issue won't die. With the November election nearing, Republicans and Democrats are anxious to agree on something to convince voters that Washington is trying to help Yankee traders. Phil Jones, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Everybody's getting a run to the stick on this.
At plants around the country, they're fighting mad. Workers saying, why shouldn't they get 60 days notice when fired executives often get fortunes for leaving?
He should not veto the bill. I mean, that's basically cutting off our blue-collar workers' throats.
I think it's all one-sided. It's unfair.
Unfair, they say, because top executives get golden parachutes. Big bucks paid for losing their jobs. Robert Foman was out when E.F. Hutton merged, but he floated to earth on a golden parachute worth more than $16 million. Viacom's head, Terrence Elks, had an even softer landing, more than $25 million.
They ought to split the money up, give everybody a little taste of that.
You have to be outraged at getting seeing someone get a golden parachute of $20 million. It has to violate every sense of justice and fairness.
They're getting the top of the gravy, and the little guy, he ain't getting nothing but the crumbs.
Not only that, incomes for workers rose less than 4% last year, while top executive pay packages shot up 48%. The big winner, 36-year-old Jim Manzi of Lotus, made $26 million. Runner-up, Lee Iacocca. He got nearly $18 million, even though Chrysler's profits hit the skids.
I can't apologize for me or my people and their salaries or bonuses.
Management recruiters say if you want top talent, you've got to pay top dollar.
Those top jobs are very demanding jobs. They require outstanding management talent. They require very hard work. And most of the people that are in those jobs earning those monies are doing exactly that. They're earning them.
Workers say they know companies must have top management, but they add, when fired executives get huge salaries and golden parachutes, the least workers should get is 60 days notice. Dan?
Thanks, Ray. President Reagan today blasted reports that his own inner circle, some members of it, including First Lady Nancy Reagan, are orchestrating an Ed Meese Must Go campaign. CBS News White House correspondent Terrence Smith reports.
President Reagan defiantly rejected a report that his top advisors are actively campaigning to force out Attorney General Ed Meese.
I thought the story was completely inaccurate.
Would you support that kind of a plan, sir?
No.
Can you envision any circumstances under which you would ask the Attorney General to leave?
Well, if he had a complete change of character.
The story in today's Wall Street Journal said that Reagan insiders Caspar Weinberger and Stuart Spencer, along with the First Lady, had concluded that Meese would have to go, and that Weinberger had been sounded out about replacing him. Today, the former defense secretary rejected that idea.
I think we have a good attorney general and an old personal friend of mine for a long, long time, and I have overdone, my wife tells me, my feeling that everyone owes some contribution to public service.
A spokesman for Mrs. Reagan denied that she was pressuring her husband to fire his old friend. But White House officials concede that concern over the political impact of Meese's difficulties has been growing. At a private luncheon in the residence last Friday, political consultant Spencer told the Reagans that the Meese issue is fast becoming one of Vice President Bush's campaign problems. Meese's troubles remain a preoccupation at the Justice Department, where anti-Meese graffiti was recently removed from the walls near his office, and where a press conference today on an unrelated matter began this way.
First of all, let me begin by saying that I'm not resigning. I think Ed Meese is doing a wonderful job as Attorney General. I'm loyal to him and I intend to stay.
As an indication of the jumpy nerves over the issue here, a senior White House official grew furious when a newspaper reporter pressed him on the Meese story today and summoned a guard to have him removed from his office. Terrence Smith, CBS News, the White House.
The judge presiding over the case of Oliver North, John Poindexter and Company today suggested the White House and the Justice Department are stonewalling. The judge said they are intentionally holding back classified documents in the Missiles for Iran criminal conspiracy case, documents wanted by attorneys in that case. George Bush and Michael Dukakis today started firing practice shots at each other for the fall campaign. Bush came out of the Pennsylvania primary with more than the required number of delegates needed for the Republican presidential nomination. Dukakis' more than 2-to-1 victory over Jesse Jackson in Pennsylvania went a long way towards strengthening Dukakis as the inevitable Democratic presidential nominee, even in the view of some loyal Jackson followers. CBS News chief Washington correspondent Bob Schieffer looks tonight at a new phase in the presidential race.
The first instant biographies of Michael Dukakis came rolling off the presses today, and on Capitol Hill, Democratic congressmen came out of the woodwork to endorse him. That's what happens when it's looking certain you'll get your party nomination. It was a little harder for George Bush. He wants to emphasize his foreign policy experience, but even a vice president with a lock on the nomination had to stand in the background when the Canadian Prime Minister came calling. Bush's people fully expect the president to endorse their man, but when asked about it today, the idea seemed to surprise Mr. Reagan.
I'm going to have to arrive at that if there are no others entering or not, but I haven't actually, it's so recent I haven't even congratulated him yet, which I'm going to do in a short while about his going over the top.
As Bush lunched with the president, his people said what Mr. Reagan was trying to do was put off the endorsement until it can be done in a more high-profile way. But the fall campaign, in effect, is already underway. Dukakis already emphasizing the economy. As for Bush's charge that he lacks foreign policy know-how, there was this.
I think the vice president will be well advised to stop criticizing others for a while and address some fundamental issues that face his country.
Bush expects questions from Dukakis on Iran-Contra. On morning TV, he's already honing his answers.
What you can do about hostages? Do you really care when a man like Buckley is being tortured to death?
With the top spots all but decided now, speculation turns to who'll be number 2. On the Republican side, most mentioned are California Governor Duke Majian, Kansas Senator Bob Dole, and Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. For Democrats, Georgia Senator Sam Nunn is most often mentioned. Others being talked up, Florida Senator Bob Graham, Ohio Senator John Glenn, and of course Jesse Jackson, who said today he'll keep campaigning through the last primary in California. Bob Schieffer, CBS News, New York.
U.S. immigration centers around the country are jammed today. Illegal immigrants applying for amnesty. The amnesty program, covering unknown millions who are eligible, expires May 4th. And it's said that there's little chance the deadline will be extended. David Dow reports on lining up to be legal.
They camped out by the hundreds at an immigration office in Houston last night, a last-minute stakeout for a piece of the American dream.
This land is only for the persons that are going to apply for the first time.
In Miami, there was another long line. Haitians, Jamaicans, Latin Americans. And in Los Angeles, the amnesty applications are arriving by the sacksful, with the deadline just 1 week away. Just like American taxpayers. Last-minute rush, right?
Yeah, something we can call it like that. Yeah, I'll take that.
The word's all over. It's going all over the place that this is the thing to do if you want to come out of the shadows.
Applications are running at 10,000 a day, nearly 5 times the flow of a year ago when the amnesty program opened amid suspicion and confusion. Officials expect the total to approach 1.8 million. Critics contend there are thousands more who can't meet the deadline.
There have been major changes in the law. Has the community had effective informational campaign on it? No.
But an author of the landmark legislation has virtually ruled out an extension.
Come forward. You have until May 4th, and after that, there will never be another extension.
In recent days, immigration officials have done almost everything to shuck their bad guy image in many immigrant neighborhoods and sell the amnesty program. They have sung at telethons, launched milk carton campaigns, and enlisted celebrities like baseball's Fernando Valenzuela. Officials have also been trying to convince employers to quit hiring the undocumented or face fines. But full enforcement hasn't taken place yet, and the illegal flow across the border to American jobs is ahead of last year's.
Thousands of employers nationwide have not implemented the sanctions, and they're probably saying it doesn't affect me. But it does affect them.
Meanwhile, authorities in Stockton, California today boasted of the oldest amnesty applicants so far, a Turkish-born woman claiming to be 115 years old. David Dow, CBS News, Los Angeles.
The new U.S. defense budget bill is the focus of more arms control policy wrangling, this in advance of the Reagan-Gorbachev-Moscow election year summit. The House voted again today to limit testing of President Reagan's Star Wars missile defense. The House also voted to make President Reagan keep U.S. strategic weapons within limits of the old, still unratified SALT II treaty with the Soviets. Still to come on the CBS Evening News, Anthony Mason on Afghanistan, where refugees are going home and things are not working out as Soviet leaders planned. And Bob McNamara on a plan to find a home for the wild horses of the West.
You've just been caught knocking off the Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran. What's the most intelligent way to respond?
Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran? Define the word eat. Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran? Yo, Mom, your shoelace. Did you eat? Yeah.
With the crunchy sweet taste of Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran, an open box is an empty box.
A couple of months ago, we gave a piece of our long-distance business to MCI. Our approach here is one step at a time. Then MCI told us we could have the same dedicated lines for domestic and international. They could design the software to tie all our messaging systems together. They showed us things about voice and data I didn't know they could do. Things AT&T wouldn't do. So much for one step at a time.
Until you call, you'll never know how much better a long-distance company can be. MCI. Let us show you.
Introducing an automobile that will change the way you think about two-seaters. Riata by Buick, the premium American two-seater you can be comfortable with. Riata offers a high level of luxury, sophisticated conveniences, and a remarkable amount of room at a most attractive price. If your aim in life has always been high, drive the premium American two-seater. Riata by Buick. Go ahead, you deserve it.
Navy salvage workers today found the bodies of 3 men missing after explosions and fire ripped through a submarine Sunday. The salvage crew boarded the abandoned USS Bonefish yesterday as it drifted in the Atlantic 160 miles east of Port Canaveral, Florida. But they had to pump out toxic gases swirling through the hull before they could enter the ship. 89 crewmen aboard the Bonefish were safely rescued after the accident. A U.S. Supreme Court ruling today on what's to be done about parents who fail to make their child support payments. Justices ruled in favor of a growing number of states that are jailing those parents. The The Supreme Court said this is legal and proper so long as it's done to coerce the delinquent parent to pay and not as an outright criminal penalty. The justices also ruled it's up to the parent to prove inability to pay child support, not the state's job to prove the parent can pay. A historic lightning strike series of arrests today in Southern California. It was the kind of coordinated effort among law officers usually linked to drug raids. This time, it wasn't drugs. This time, the accused allegedly reached out and touched someone, and that someone might have been you. Terry Drinkwater reports.
Police officer, do not hang up that phone. Put your hands right there and don't move.
The raids are all over Southern California, boiler rooms where fast-talking telephone salesmen push hundreds of millions of dollars in questionable investments every year.
You may not be telling the truth.
The victims typically are far away. So this week, lawmen from 4 states converged on California for this first coordinated crackdown. They're armed with warrants.
Unregistered securities, unregistered agent, and fraud in connection with the sale.
Evidence, some of it on computers, quickly seized. Surprises all around.
I do think that our attorney should know that you're here.
In terms of illegal dollars, boiler room operations in Southern California are second only to narcotics.
I've got a warrant for your arrest from the state of Missouri. These guys are going to take you downtown now.
If this man is tried and convicted, he could face life in prison.
The salesman will say anything to get the investor to part with his or her money. And, I mean, there's simply no conscience among these people.
Connecticut, Utah, Ohio.
One of the victims lost $400,000 in bogus oil and gas deals. How many times these Texas wells have been sold, investigators can only imagine. Those hurt worst are the elderly. Lawrence and Jeanette Daly thought they were investing safely for a comfortable retirement.
The part that's at risk with us, I guess, looks like about $45,000, I guess.
When they exaggerate, of course, it's the same as lying, but maybe it's they honestly hope, just like we're hoping.
Also seized today were recorded messages similar to what the Dalys heard.
We have a 100% track record for 1986 and 87.
Even with this sweep, 200 or more boiler rooms still remain in Southern California. So, lawmen warn investors beware of any promises for big, fast bucks.
So what's the bottom line here for you?
Well, it looked like it was zero here.
Terry Drinkwater, CBS News, Los Angeles.
In Washington today, Michael Milken, the so-called junk bond chief for the investment firm Drexel Burnham Lambert, invoked the Fifth Amendment 3 times and finally had to be excused from testifying before the House committee that subpoenaed him. That subcommittee is investigating irregularities in financial markets.
It takes time to get your gal to see the light. It takes time. It isn't always love at sight. From the first little glance, till she's ready for romance. Remember, little man, it takes time. It takes time to make the coffee percolate. It takes time to get your gal to set the date. From the first moonlit walk till you get the baby talk.
Introducing the Elegance Collection from Citizen.
Yeah.
Welcome to another round of Name That Cereal. Fruit and fiber cereal tastes so good, you forget the fiber. Are you ready?
Yes. Sweet and chewy dates, fat raisins, meaty walnuts, crisp light flakes.
All right, name that cereal.
I know. It's fruit and...
Oh, sorry, it's post-fruit and fiber cereal packed with delicious fruit and high-fiber flakes. Tastes so good, you forget the fiber.
When you buy Corning prescription lenses that change, it's like getting free light tints, free medium tints, dark tints, and a range of free sunglasses all in one. Corning lenses that change, the only eyeglasses you'll ever need.
Now for indigestion, gas, introducing new Extra Strength Malox Plus. It neutralizes more than any leading antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as new Extra Strength Malox Plus.
South Korea's stock market took its worst plunge in history today in alarm over yesterday's election results. The ruling party of President Roh Tae-woo lost its controlling majority in the legislature, and longtime dissident Kim Dae-jung came out with the lion's share of opposition seats. The two rivals promised to work together today. Kim said he does not want political violence to wreck the Summer Olympics in Seoul. A car bomb blew up in the capital of Afghanistan today. It killed 6 people, injured 50, and wrecked the final day of celebrations, marking the 10th anniversary of a Soviet-backed communist coup. After 8 years of propping up the Kabul regime with military force and violence, the Soviets are now getting ready to pull some forces out of Afghanistan. They've already withdrawn from a few areas near the Pakistan border. CBS cameraman Kurt Lobeck risked his life to be there when rebels returned to one village. CBS News correspondent Anthony Mason in London narrates Lobeck's pictures.
Throughout the war, the Afghan army base in the border region of Barakat had been under constant attack. On Monday, Mujahideen resistance fighters finally won the battle and took control of the village. Guerrillas pulled down the white flag over the abandoned headquarters of Russia's military advisors and replaced it with the banner of the Mujahideen. In Kabul yesterday, as government troops marked the 10th anniversary of the Communist Revolution, President Najibullah claimed his soldiers pulled back from Barakat to allow refugees to return. But witnesses said the troops fled in defeat, abandoning armored personnel carriers, heavy artillery, and trucks, many still operable. This is now a little part of free Afghanistan, Deputy Leader bin Mohammed told his fighters. The Mujahideen flag is being raised on every naked pole. President Najibullah has been counting on rival guerrilla factions to fight amongst themselves. But the leader of the combined Mujahideen said today the factions have agreed to stand together. Bridges are being built across the Kumar River, which divides Afghanistan and Pakistan. A few of the nearly 3 million refugees have started to return. Though the government troops have fled, the fields and paths around Barakat are still dangerous. Sonic mines, triggered by ground vibrations, can take a life as quickly as a bullet. A group of women, undeterred, started picking onions. Refugees with chickens under their belts and bed springs on their backs are willing to run the risk to see their homes again. Anthony Mason, CBS News, London.
I spend 3 to 5 hours a day talking to my clients on the phone, buying and selling for them. So when our phone system packed up the other day, it was impossible. It was a mess. I make my livelihood on the phone, my commissions. Without a telephone, I'm broke.
Headaches, backaches, muscle aches and pains. Millions of you experience this kind of everyday pain. And you should know that the pain reliever that's unbeaten for ailments like these is Tylenol. But it wouldn't make any sense to relieve your pain and then irritate your stomach. That's why you should choose a pain reliever that won't cause the stomach irritation possible with aspirin or even ibuprofen. That's why your choice should be Tylenol. It's tough on pain, easy on your stomach.
Why cook in oil, margarine, or butter? All natural Pam adds only 1/10 the fat and calories and keeps food light and delicious. Pam cooking spray, because how you cook is as important as what you cook.
Know what's so great about this new Hoover cordless double duty cleaner?
No.
It picks up dry spills and wet spills too.
Wow. Am I seeing double?
Yes.
I'll take one.
Double duty. Hoover keeps making it better.
So which one of you do I pay?
Now look at this. A tiny California condor chick today pecked a crack in its eggshell at the San Diego Wild Animal Park. Scientists say the chick, part of expected to break out of the shell within the next 3 days, represents the salvation of its species. It would be the first produced by captive condors. All 27 California condors are in captivity, but today's development is part of a program aimed at trying to reestablish a wild population. A hearing in Washington today centered on what could be the last roundup for thousands of wild horses now corralled in the American West. Cowboy Bob McNamara looks at a new idea for handling an old problem.
America's wild horses and what to do with them.
it's a problem as political and emotional as few others. Today, 40,000 wild horses still roam the vast ranges of the West. But since the mid-70s, after ranchers argued that too many horses were overgrazing fragile land, the Bureau of Land Management rounded up thousands of them, corralled them, and put them up for adoption. And though more than 80,000 horses were adopted, there were abuses. Californian Robin Keller found 4 wild horses being auctioned and bought them.
They would have been slaughtered, rendered for meat, for glue, for whatever products that are available to that industry.
Still today, almost 9,000 wild horses are going unwanted. Too old, too unattractive for adoption, they stand in massive BLM corrals in Nevada, California, and other states, costing taxpayers $9 million a year. Critics say it's a crisis the government deliberately manufactured by rounding up more horses than adoption programs could handle.
Now they're trying to place Congress in an either-or situation where now that we have them, it's either we sell them or we have to shoot them. Which do you want us to do?
For a time to get rid of them, the BLM gave the horses to anyone adopting 100 or more. But after many were found dead, dying of starvation, or sent to slaughter for pet food, the giveaway was stopped.
It's just one of those things that in a huge program, every so often something goes wrong. This went wrong.
So in Washington today, Burford told a congressional subcommittee he was working a deal that could send unadoptable horses to a first-of-its-kind wild horse sanctuary in South Dakota, an idea that could get a lot of people and horses off the hook. Federal law says the government can destroy the wild horses it can't get adopted. And though that's been threatened, it's not expected to happen. Officials are well aware of the public outrage mass killings would bring. And as for Congress approving such a thing, public outrage is one thing, this being an election year is another. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Evergreen, Colorado.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather. See you tomorrow. Good night.
Fat chance. Finding a faucet made as well as a price fister. After all, it's the one made in its own USA foundry. The one uniquely fashioned with a heart of solid brass. Start to finish, the quality is first rate. Furthermore, the cost is a fraction of what you'd expect. So why fiddle around? Get a price fister. The fabulous faucet with a funny name.
I've devised my own way to cook perfect steaks without slicing them open. I cook an extra little piece, and I test it. I call it my test steak. Of course, it's done a little early, but that's part of the secret. No one ever knows, because I eat the evidence. Beef, real food for real people.
It's the best-selling vehicle of its kind in the country. Probably because it's beautiful to look at and exciting to drive. Rare qualities in a car, and even rarer in a wagon.
Winning the world over. You're winning. Have you been behind the wheel? Winning the world over. Have you driven a Ford lately?
Watch from the front lines as America fights a deadly invader.
You're under arrest, U.S. Drug Enforcement.
48 Hours, Thursday.
This is CBS.
Coming up on Eyewitness News tonight, we'll find out what residents think about Mayor Bill Boner's undercover drug work in their neighborhood.